What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. MMA Community reacts to Michael Chandler's insane body transformation. Michael Chandler is looking absolutely shredded for his rematch with Charles Oliveira in New York City. By the time the two share the octagon on the 16th, Chandler will have been out for a little over 2 years while waiting for a fight with Conor McGregor. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. On Thursday, Chandler showed off his physique in a post on social media that caught the attention of the MMA world. One fan joked, "He better be, man was in the longest training camp known to man." Another wrote, "Bro looks like a bodybuilder." One fan hinted that Chandler might be on something by posting a needle emoji, definitely looking shredded. Another agreed, "He pops Anavar like Tic Tacs." They weren't the only ones who thought Chandler was looking juicy. That's vitamin S. Steroids are the breakfast of champions for the old guys in the UFC. One member of the MMA world added, "Nobody is more happy that the UFC has stopped drug testing than Michael Chandler." Another said that Chandler's physique is a sign of the post-USADA era. Nearly 40 years old, hasn't fought in several years, and hasn't even cut weight yet. Post-USADA era is awesome. One joked that the picture was a red flag. This picture just got 10 drug testers sent to Chandler's house. Another wasn't buying that Chandler's physique is because of genetics. "If Mike ain't juicing, I'll never believe nothing ever again. He looked like that year round. I know genetics are a thing, but come on." Right now, for his fight with Oliveira, Chandler is a plus 200 underdog, while the former champion is a negative 265 favorite. Tom Aspinall reveals plans for UFC 309. Tom Aspinall might not be fighting to unify the heavyweight strap at UFC 309, but that doesn't mean he'll be watching from home. On top of weighing in as the backup fighter, Aspinall said in a video for his YouTube channel that he plans to drum up attention by doing some media during fight week before then trying to get himself a fight against the winner of the Jones-Miocic headliner.
Do some media, cause a few scenes here and there, and try and make the winner stick around and fight me, hopefully. And just see what happens, really. I just want to see, you know what, I'm really interested how both guys look in the fight. That's really interesting for me. Up close, especially up close, because it's a little bit different than on the TV. I want to go up close and see what these guys look like in live action. Do you know what I mean? How are they moving? What are they doing? You can see little differences in real life than you can on the TV, and I'm looking forward to that.
The big question heading into the card is whether Jones and Miocic will both retire after the fight, or whether the winner will stick around for a title unification fight against Aspinall. If both fighters wind up retiring, Aspinall would then probably be promoted to undisputed champion and defend his title against the winner of the upcoming Alexander Volkov-Cyril Gane fight. If the winner of the Jones-Miocic fight doesn't retire, then Aspinall will finally have a chance to fight to unify the belt and usher in a new era in the heavyweight division. UFC Updates. Leading up to this weekend's Moreno vs. Albazi card in Edmonton, let's take a look at today's UFC fight updates, starting with a change to the December 14th card in Tampa, which will now see Daniel Marcos and Adrian Yanez throw down after Said Nurmagomedov was forced out of his fight with Marcos. Marcos will be going for his 17th win in a row, while Yanez is looking to get his second win in a row after beating Vinicius Salvador back in May. The card will also include a fight between Michael Johnson and Othman Azatar, as Johnson looks to get his second victory of the year, and Azatar looking to snap a 2-fight losing streak in his first fight in almost a year and a half. Last but certainly not least, undefeated bantamweight Peyton Talbot is now scheduled to return to action at the UFC 311 card in January after going 2-0 in 2024. He's reportedly set to fight Raoni Barcelos, who hasn't fought since getting a win over Christian Quinones back in February. Next, we have Israel Adesanya starting training camp. Izzy posted a video on YouTube of him starting training camp, but the opponent is unknown at the time of this recording. Many people in the MMA world are speculating that it's either Sharabuddin Magomedov or Nasruddin Imavov. Who do you think Izzy will fight next? Let us know down in the comment section below. Mohamed Mokaev reveals promise from the UFC. Even though the UFC wound up cutting Mohamed Mokaev after his win over Manel Kape this summer during a Russian-speaking interview with a regional outlet known as Herald MMA, he explained that Hunter Campbell promised him that if he wins 1 to 2 fights outside of the UFC, then they'll bring him back. From the sounds of things, the UFC cut Mokaev because they wanted to teach him a lesson. But now, Dana White thinks that the UFC got their point across loud and clear, and Mokaev has learned his lesson. It's still not totally clear why the UFC cut Mokaev. But Dana did say back in August that Mokaev pissed off the wrong people like matchmakers and Hunter Campbell. So far, there's been no word yet on when he'll be back in the cage for his first fight outside the UFC, but he has notably re-signed with Brave CF. where he fought 5 times as a professional before signing with the UFC. Last weekend, he also competed against another UFC vet, Rogerio Bontorin, in a grappling match at ADXC 6 that he lost via split decision after initially being scheduled to grapple against Raul Rosas Jr. If he's able to win his next fight or two in Brave, then he might be back in the UFC by the end of 2025. Derrick Lewis praises Francis Ngannou for his UFC contract. Derrick Lewis's fight with Francis Ngannou back in 2018 might be one of the most boring fights in UFC history, but because of Ngannou going to the PFL, the Black Beast was able to get himself a new UFC contract. During an interview with MMA Fighting, Lewis explained how he was able to use Ngannou as leverage while negotiating with the UFC. Francis played the role of helping me get this contract that I got right now because, the negotiations, I said, man, look what they doing over there, I could be over there getting that. So what's over here? I would like to stay here. So, I ain't gonna say too much. So now they're trying to space my fights out. I said, no, don't space them out. Come on. Give me them 3 or 4 fights that y'all wanted to give me before. If the Black Beast is able to get the job done on Saturday night in Edmonton, Canada, he'll probably wind up going from ranked 11th to ranked inside the top 10 at heavyweight. Even though he wants to run things back with Daniel Cormier, who's retired, there are some exciting fights with other top 10 heavyweights who he hasn't fought yet, like Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Of course, on top of Lewis being scheduled to fight on Saturday, Rozenstruik also is currently preparing to fight Sergey Pavlovich in February. With the odds of a fight against DC being pretty slim, only time will tell where Lewis goes from here if he gets the victory on Saturday. Updates on UFC 310 after Belal Muhammad pulls out. The MMA community was thrown into a frenzy on Thursday when Belal Muhammad wound up being forced out of his upcoming fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov thanks to a pretty serious bone infection that will keep him sidelined for the next 6 weeks while he receives IV antibiotics. Considering Belal had made fun of Conor McGregor for pulling out of his fight with Michael Chandler over the summer with a broken toe, the former champ decided to take aim at the welterweight champion for pulling out of his first title defense by posting 2 laughing emojis that he ended up deleting. Before he deleted the post, Belal Muhammad saw it and responded, "I have this for antibiotics. You use needles because you're a junkie. We are not the same." Conor McGregor fired back by saying, "Scudder talk just like you're fighting. You lambasted UFC world champions multiple times on having to reschedule their bouts through injury. And now it's come down on you like a bomb from the sky. It is glorious to see. No fight, no money, but staph infection. Haha, LOL, bum, stripped instantly. 0 knockdowns, any excitement or traffic or views or ticket sales in bout, and now also non-reliable to show, strip, cut. Infected fighter, you have infections." After news broke that Muhammad was out of his upcoming fight, Shavkat Rakhmonov took to social media to share his reaction to the news, keeping things respectful and classy. Wishing Belal a quick recovery. We'll meet when you're back at 100%. For now, I'm ready to take on any contender for the interim title at UFC 310. With Muhammad out of the December fight, Ian Gary quickly took to his Instagram story and shared a clip of himself telling media members that he wants to get his hands on the Nomad and take his 0.
There's some cool matchups, there's Shavkat 18-0 undefeated. I'd love to get my hands on him. I've trained with him. I have nothing but respect for the guy, but I want to be the first guy to take his 0 and I know I can do it. That fight excites me so much. I've nothing but respect for the dude. It's purely out of, I don't want anyone else to beat him before me. He's 18-0, I'm 15-0. Let's go out there and put on a show and let's see who's really better.
Gary then posted a picture of himself and Rakhmonov along with the caption, "Undefeated versus undefeated anytime, anywhere."
Shavkat 18-0 undefeated. I'd love to get my hands on.
Hey look, I'm gonna let you finish, but I got something to say. Nobody wanna see that fight. People wanna see knockouts. People wanna see finishes. And that's exactly what we finna bring. Me versus Shavkat. He got 18 finishes, 10 subs, 8 knockouts, and your boy, I got 14 knockouts. And I just knocked out my last 2 ranked opponents. So what you think I'm finna do to this dude? All right, UFC, this is the fight that y'all gotta make. Like I told y'all, I'm coming to take the throne, and I ain't playing.
While Gary was throwing his name into the hat, Kamaru Usman was teasing fans with a fight announcement, posting the same emojis as he did before he stepped in on short notice to fight Khamzat Chimaev at middleweight last October. Even though there's been plenty of talk about a fight between Rakhmonov and Usman, Terrence McKinney suggested another fight, Shavkat versus Khamzat for interim title. On top of a possible interim title fight, there's also been plenty of talk about Alex Pereira possibly stepping in to defend his title on short notice, even though he and his team said that he would take some time off to fulfill sponsorship duties. Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev both then teased a possible fight, sharing the same telephone emoji on social media. Magomed Ankalaev called out Alex Pereira on Twitter this morning, saying, I spoke to my manager if the UFC need me for December 7. I am all in. Let's go. Mick Maynard, send me the contract. I'm ready. Let's do this. Ankalaev's coach also came out and said, this is all just talk. There's been no official offer. We are ready to perform on December 7. Magomed has no problems with the visa. There are doubts about Pereira's desire because he recently said that he plans to complicate our path to the title. During Thursday's episode of the Boys in the Back show, Ariel Helwani weighed in on the situation, saying that if he was Pereira, he probably wouldn't step in on short notice.
This, in my opinion, favors Magomed more so than Alex. If I'm Alex, I don't like this because A, I probably need a little more time to prepare for someone like Magomed.
Maybe.
One thing to take a short notice fight against a striker or someone you've already fought. And B, Magomed, yeah, he just fought. I don't think too banged up. Remember the litany of things that Alex talked about just a few weeks prior. You know, the infection, the antibiotics, the toe, the ribs. If I'm him, why? Why would you take arguably your toughest test as a champion, light heavyweight or middleweight, on a month's notice? You've done them enough favors. If I'm his team, unless they're throwing like $10 million at you.
With tons of moving parts, it'll be interesting to see how things play out.